Hey guys, Kevin Rogers. Welcome back to the channel. And as always, thank you for tuning into our channel. I hope that you'll subscribe. I love teaching people about fishing. I'm not the best fisherman in the world, but I've been doing it a long time and been all over the country. So something that someone asked for and something that I'm currently into right now and I'm doing is going to a brand new lake that you have never been to before in your life. How do you start? What do you do? It's intimidating to a lot of folks. That is my favorite thing to do. I love going to new lakes. It's just it's refreshing to me. It's something new. It's something exciting for me because the possibilities are they're unlimited. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, and if you're not prepared and you're not ready when you get there, it can make the fishing trip horrible, and no one wants a horrible fishing trip. So there's lakes that I've been to hundreds of times, hundreds. My home lake at Truman Lake, Missouri. I think I know every square inch of Truman Lake. I never have to turn a mapping system on. I know where the creek channel is all over it. But what happens when you go to a brand new lake and you don't know any of that? Where do you start and how do you start? Well, let's walk through that. Let's talk about what I do, what I've been doing. I'm going to 5 new lakes this year and fishing for $50,000 prize on all 5 of these lakes. I've never seen these lakes. I've never seen the watercolor. I don't know anything about them. So this is near and dear to my heart right now. I'm knee deep in this. So let's get started. First thing I do, guys, any body of water, like everyone else does it, is Google Earth and or Google Maps. Google Maps is what I use mostly just because it's easier to get to. That's the first thing I will do. I will go to Google Maps. And what I'm doing with Google Maps is just getting myself orientation of the lake, knowing where north, east, south, and west is, and how the lake lays out. And that's where Google Earth and Google Maps will help you understand the direction. It's like this. If I was to leave my home here in Missouri and take a trip to Florida in my truck, I wouldn't just get in my truck and plug in the address and just drive 17 hours to Florida. I would get on and look at the route, and I'd want to know what states I'm going through, what highways I'm going through, what major cities I'd be going through, to give my mind an idea of what I'm going to experience when I'm going along this trip. It's the same way in my fishing. When I get to a lake, I want to know the boat ramp I'm putting in. Do I go left, south? Do I go right, north to get to the dam? Where's the dam and where's the river? What part of the lake I'm in? And the best way to do that is just studying Google Earth. I'm going to a lake here in Alabama, Lake Eufaula in Alabama, that I've never been to, I've never seen. I know the boat ramp that I'm coming in and out of, where I need to weigh in, and now in my mind I know if I come out of that boat ramp and I go left, I'm headed up the river, and I come out of the boat ramp and I take a right, I'm headed to the dam. So I already have that. I already know that in my mind. I dig it a little bit further. The best way to do that is Google Earth. Let's come over here and look at Google Earth. All right, in Google Earth, Google Maps, the first thing you want to do is get rid of this 2D image and go to the satellite image right here. Always use a satellite image. You're seeing more detail. That's what I do. Let's go down here to Truman Lake. Let's go down to my home lake. There's Google Earth. There's Truman Lake right there. That's what I consider my home lake. It's an hour from my house. And there it is. Just zoom in, you can see the lake. And what I'm doing when I look on Google Earth, I'm looking for major cities, major highways, and I'm trying to just get my bearings on. I know this lake really well, but if I didn't, I'm just trying to get a bearing of where the heck I'm putting in and where can I go. When I get on the water, I want to know a lot of things. I want to know when I come out of the boat ramp. Let's just take this boat ramp right here. This is Bucksaw Resort and Marina right here. Pretty famous marina on Truman Lake. I need to know if I'm fun fishing, tournament fishing, whatever I'm doing, coming out of this boat ramp right here, you come out, and if you go left, you need to know you're headed towards the dam. Never get there. I want to know in my mind, if I come out of Bucksaw and I'm going left, I know every single cove. I know there's going to be 2 coves down here at the bottom of this thing before I even get there, right? So that's this is something I study and study and study before I go to any lake. I know the whole orientation in my mind before I ever show up to the lake. And if you guys aren't using this tool, I know a lot of people are, but a lot of you, maybe the crappie guys are not, still use this in crappie fishing. And this is amazing. So now this is Google Earth. One thing, after I have all that orientation, that's just for me, just basic knowledge of the lake, knowing, you know, what direction is what, knowing if the wind blows out of the north, where the heck am I going to fish? You got to go look for these north banks. You don't want to be fishing the whole south bank, getting blown out with the wind blowing at you. So Google Maps, amazing. You can go back and Google Earth, and it'll show you different timestamps of where they took the satellite picture, and you can see the lake low and high, and it's fun to go do that. But just for basic orientation, I use Google Maps. It just gives me the whole layout of this lake, and I just orientate myself which direction is what. I got to know that before I go there. I can never go to a lake and not look at this and just show up blind and put on. I'd be lost. I'd just be out here doing circles and spinning out of control. So this allows me to know what direction I'm going and where. That's Google Earth, and I study that like crazy. So what next step I do, something Google Earth does not show me, there are no contour lines. That's all well and great, right? There's nothing on here. So this is just a satellite image of the lake, and it lets you understand where you're running. So the next step I do, scoot this to the side, move this over here. I still like an old school map. I still buy a map for a lake that I have never been to before. I have a lake map of every lake I've ever fished in my life. I think there's over 120 of these maps sitting out in my shop. And this is a brand new map because this is a brand me. Lake Eufaula, never been here before. But what this does, takes it another step. It shows me the contours, and I like the paper map. Now, this is one piece information, but this guy right here, if you guys are not using the Navionics app on your smartphone, man, shame on you. This is an important tool. This shows you exactly what this shows. This is just a hard copy of it. What this allows me to do is I don't have to do this so much with my fingers, nonstop, you know, moving. Okay, where was I at? This is a full picture of it. So if I'm sitting in a hotel room at night, or even here in my living room trying to study a new lake, I'm not using my fingers. This shows me the whole entire lake, and I can do it. This, you get into some serious details on this, right? This is the same thing you would have on your Lowrance unit, or anytime you have a Navionics card. It's right here in your hand. I can tell you every time, if I went to a brand new lake, like Eufaula Lake here in Alabama, I'm going to have this out next to my sight. Even though my Garmin units are showing me these contour lines, I'm still going to have this Navionics. There's certain details in here. I'll mark spots, and I will actually drive my boat to these spots on my phone. So I'm not going to have the paper map out anymore in my boat, right? This is more of a hotel setting, or the camper setting, or even in your living room, to where you don't have to zoom in and out. It gives you the bigger picture. This zooms in and gives you great detail. Powerful tools. I still like a paper map. I love this thing. I'm constantly staring at this thing during the practice, or even pre-tournament fishing. I do, you know, I'll go here. I'll start over here on Google Maps. I'll go here, and I go here. 3 different pieces of information that allow you to understand the lake. You've got to understand the lake before you ever get there. Helps saves time, and you need to understand, you know, just simple directions of the lake when you're going there. All 3 of these tools are very valuable. I still use all 3 constantly. I probably use the paper map the least, but I think out of all 3 of these tools, I think I use this Navionics app the most. I mean, there's so much detail here that it is incredible. You can cursor over. Look at that. You cursor over, and it tells you anywhere that cursor goes, it's telling you the depth of water. I mean, a lot of guys I know aren't using this yet. A lot of guys have got this perfected, right? I mean, look at that big old hole right there. That's amazing. I think I know exactly where that's at. Oh yeah, that's me and old Hunter Bowling's bass spot right there. That's one of our bass fishing spots on Truman Lake right there. That little contour. So amazing tool. And if you guys aren't using this, man, download that app. I think I had to pay for the app. I'm pretty sure I had to pay for this, but it's not like a monthly subscription. I think I just paid one time and I got it downloaded. This is an amazing tool for fishermen, and I can't believe people aren't using it. So Google Maps over here, or Google Earth, give me an orientation. I know the way. What this shows me more than this shows me the roads, right? You can't start fishing until you get your get your boat and truck to the boat ramp. So this shows you all that good stuff, and you come over here and dive deep down into the details, contours, flats, where the creek channel is. And then this just allows me to see an overall arching picture of the lake in paper form. I still buy these. I just bought this online. They're 11 bucks, and I have it forever. It's just something I keep. I have a little tote that I keep all these in, and it's amazing. I have maps out there from 20 years ago, and there's handwritten notes on it where I caught fish and what the water temperature was and lake level. I've written in the maps. Kind of cool, kind of an old journal of lakes. So always buy a paper map for a new lake. That's just me. Young kids probably would laugh at me about the paper maps, but I still use them. I use them, and I use this, and I use that over there, and of course I use the mapping system in my on my Garmin units. Okay guys, there's a simple walkthrough of how I start with a brand new lake. I start with the Google Earth, Google Maps, just get my orientation of just the layout of the lake. You got to know the layout of the lake. You got to know your directions. You got to know north, east, south, and west. And that sounds simplistic, and most people should know that when they're on the body of water. But gosh dang, that's important, right? If you're looking at a weather report and you're seeing that wind blowing out of the south, you need to know which way that's going to blow across the lake. All the technology we have. Google Maps, good way to orientate yourself with that body of water. And then, like I said, I break it down after that with my paper map, so I can lay that paper map out and then use that Navionics app to detail down the creek channels and the flats. And you can see most of them have the boat lanes on it. And then when I get in my actual boat and I start fishing, of course, I'm going to use the Garmin mapping system that's in there. But I also will still have the Navionics both. I'll use Navionics in my hand on my phone, look a little bit, and use the mapping system as I go for detailed spots. So that's the three things I do before I ever go. That's just for the boating piece. That's just what I do to learn the lake and get myself familiar with the body of water. That doesn't have anything to do with the actual fishing part. That's just me getting ready to get my boat on the water. It's unbelievable to me. The boating part gets overlooked and all we talk about is the fishing. But all this happens before you even get to the lake, right? You have to do all these items before you actually show up. You get to the lake and you've done all this research online and Googled every single fishing report for the last 50 years on this body of water. You get to the lake and you don't even know how to run the boat channels. You don't know if there's an app you need to download to see if you can find the boat channels. Is the boat channel on your mapping system before you get there? Is there even a boat channel? Do you actually run the old channels themselves? That's the piece that is missing for me, that I think a lot of people miss. And man, you spend all this time, money, and effort. You need to have that piece done and behind you before you ever show up to New Lake. And I hope that makes sense, right? You can do all the research in the world of how the people caught their fish and when they caught the fish and all these fishing reports and past tournament results. But if you get to the body of water and you don't even know how to leave the boat ramp or what part of the lake you're actually putting in, all that is for naught. So this piece right here is major. And for you guys that fish the same lake every single day for the last 3 years, this doesn't pertain to you. This is for a person who, like myself, I love going to these new lakes. I love going to them. I did it last year. I went to Mille Lacs Lakes, a lake up in Minnesota, giant impoundment, 14 miles across. And I had a game plan, and I knew my directions and where I was sitting the map before I ever got there. I knew where the reefs were out in the lake, so I knew as soon as I got there, I could run right to a reef, and I had a game plan. So that's my point, is that you need to do all this work prior to ever throwing your fishing, ever picking up a rod. Before you ever pick up a rod, this work right here needs to be done. You need to have it in your mind. Just like if you were traveling to Florida with your family, you'd want to see that map. You know, back in old days, before we had all these phones, and there's an insurance commercial right now that makes fun of it. We used to print out our directions and go turn by turn. You kind of want to know. You don't need to do that now, all the technology we have. But you need to know when you get to the lake, my goodness, don't just go, well, we're going to put in a Bucksall Resort at Truman Lake, and that's it, right? And you go 50 yards from Bucksall Marina, and that's the only place you're fishing. My goodness, what if there's no fish there? You need to learn to navigate the waters. So navigating the waters just makes the fishing experience it's just easier. It's just second nature. And it's something that a lot of pros don't talk about because they just do it every single day and it's nothing to them. But if you're a beginner and the lake is intimidating to you, 70,000, 20,000 acres of water, this part I do before I ever get there. It's in my mind. I know when I come out of a certain boat ramp like Lake Eufaula here in Alabama, I know where I'm putting in. I know in my mind, I can drive my boat. I've never seen this body of water, but all the research I've done on Google Maps and my Navionics and my paper map, I know when I come out of my boat ramp or I'm gonna launch my boat, I know what's to the right of me, I know what's to the left of me, I know what's straight, I know what's behind me, I know which way to go to get to where I want to go. And that's important. You need to do that just so you're not wasting the valuable hours you have on the water. Every hour you're on the water is valuable. You want to be fishing, you want to be casting, you want to be dropping to them crappie, you want to have your live scope in the water looking at them giant crappie or throwing that buzzbait. Do all this work up front so you're not lost on your butt when you get to the lake. Being lost on your butt when you get to the lake is overwhelmed your day. You spend your whole entire day trying to navigate the body of water instead of actually fishing, and that's what we're there to do. So, a couple steps. Don't be afraid of these paper maps. I love them. You get to keep them forever. They're hard. You can keep them. I don't put them in a boat no more. 20 years ago, me and my dad, this is the only one we had. He'd have the paper map open, and I'd be running down the lake asking him where the creek channel was. The mapping systems in these boats are amazing. But other tools I still use. I still use a phone to look at that. Navionics, just because it's so detailed. It gives me so much detail. Mapping system in my Garmin in my boat. And before I ever get there, Google Earth. So hopefully you guys learned something. A lot of you probably are already doing this. You don't even think about it. If you're not doing this and you want to go to a new lake, people always ask me, man, Kevin, where should I go crappie fishing in the fall? Right? You need to go to Texas. You need to go to Lake Fork. You need to go to Lake of the Pines. Before you ever go there, don't go read all the fishing reports and know that they're biting, hair jigs and 15 foot of water on bridge piers or in standing timber. You need to learn the lake. You need to learn how the lake lays out. You need to know if that wind comes blowing out of the east, southeast at Lake of the Pines, you're in trouble. You need to know that just by looking at a map and seeing how that lake lays, right? That lake lays just like this. Here's north, here's east. If that wind blows out of that southeast, you can forget going to Lake of the Pines. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Prepare yourself before you ever go on a fishing trip to make your fishing trip experience better. That's what you can do. I guess that's what this is about. I got a lot of research to do. That was the navigation part. Now I will go research Lake Eufaula in Alabama. I got a tournament there in March. I will now spend the next month. I've got my mindset of where my boat's going to be put in and how to navigate the water. Of course, when you get there, it'll be a little different than what's in your mind's eye, but I still have an idea and a layout of the lake. Now I need to learn how to catch them. So I have a bass tournament there, and I will go read. I'll take this computer and I will research every single fishing report, past reports, past tournaments. I will go research every single bit of that Lake Eufaula and have me an idea of what kind of baits I should be using. That's the next step. And you also need to know the seasonal pattern that you're in, right? That's the first thing you need to know. If I tell you to go to Lake of the Pines, because I think it's the best fall time bite for crappie fishing in the United States, you need to know. You need to automatically know. Well, he's talking about fall. He's talking about November, December, late October. You're not going to be up on the bank throwing bobbers in 2 foot of water. That's not the pattern you need to know. So you need to have that. But before you do any of that, Learn how to navigate the waters you're going to. It'll help you save so much time on the lake. A lot of people don't talk about that. You just show up to the lake, you go out, you do these patterns, you better be using these baits because everyone wants to sell you baits to catch fish. No, man. Learn how to run the lake, navigate the lake, to make your time on the water more efficient. So I got some studying to do. I got maps. I got Google. I got Google Earth. I got all kinds of stuff to go learn. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys pick something up in this video. Please subscribe to our channel. It would help us, this old man, out. I got a bad fishing habit I gotta get paid for. So give us a like. Good fishing.